Real quick, the only ask I could ever have of you guys is to help spread the word so we can help more women lose body fat, build muscle, reach their goals, and feel insanely confident. And the only way we can do that is if you rate, review, and share this podcast. So the single thing I ask for you to do is if you could leave a review. It will take you 10 seconds. And it will mean the absolute world to me and may change the world of someone else. You got deeper with yourself and you had a why. And the why is also very parallel into the fitness space. It's like, well, why are you going after this new fitness program? Why do you want to start having a healthier look on food and having optimal health? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Macro Hour. Today, we have a special guest in the house, or, virtually speaking, Olivia Eve, the host of a super popular podcast, For You from Eve, with over 200 episodes and a whopping 3 million listeners. That's so freaking cool, Olivia. Olivia's podcast is all about self-love, self-growth, and living your best life. She's been crushing it in Spotify's top education charts, helping women everywhere navigating their self-development journey in a totally down-to-earth way. And so everyone listening, get comfy and let's dive into some real talk with the one and only Olivia Eve. What's up, girl? I'm so stoked you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. We just recorded together for my show, so we've already kind of gotten comfortable with each other. We're in the convo now, and I'm so excited to record for you now.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, guys, go check out her podcast for sure. That was a really fun episode that we just recorded. Cool. So let's get into it. Can you share a little bit about your personal journey and what inspired you to start the From You for Eve podcast?
Yeah. So my name is Olivia Eve. I'm 23. I'm from New Jersey. And I started my podcast, I was just telling her a little bit, almost 3 years ago now. And the way I started it was very random. I've always had a very business mindset of I want to create something. And since I was 12 or 13 years old, I was trying YouTube or an Instagram blog or a website or whatever it was. And I always wanted to create something and I never knew what. And I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure on, I need to start a business. I need to do this. I need to have my own thing. And so when quarantine had started, I actually had this wellness and wardrobe account where I posted fashion and wellness, but I feel like it was something I was just doing because I saw other people doing it. And I was like, oh, I could do, good at this too. And then I did a coffee page at one point called Brewing Brunette where I was posting my coffee recipes. I was just trying to do something.
Wait, that's such a cute name.
Yeah, Brewing Brunette. I know. R.I.P. to her, but she was fun. My friends loved her, but it was I needed to be doing something for myself, but I wasn't succeeding in anything. And then I kind of started to get into podcasts during the quarantine time because there was nothing for me to do except go on walks. And after walking so much, listening to music, I was what else can I do? So I started to listen to podcasts. I was going to school in the city a little bit before that too. So it's I was constantly headphones in the ears. And when I started listening to podcasts, I realized how much I liked them. And I didn't even see it as a business opportunity. They weren't really that big at that point. So I was always the friend that gave advice, sent audio messages. And I was you know what? I love listening to podcasts. Why don't I try creating one? And I texted my friends one day 3 years ago and was who wants to start a podcast with me? No one was interested, but I was you know what? I'm going to try this out myself. And so I started by recording 10 solo episodes just to get a feel for talking to the microphone because it's not easy at all your first time. Especially when you're talking to yourself, it's so weird. And then I just recorded a bunch of episodes, got a bunch of friends that did some influencer stuff, started editing, and I put out 10 episodes within 3 days just to jumpstart. But yeah, it started so randomly, so randomly.
Oh my God, I love that story. That is awesome. That's what I picked up there is taking some notes, entrepreneur at heart, forever learner. You're just a go-getter. And that solidified the go-getter mentality right there. You put out 10 episodes in 3 days. So you edited them
Yeah,
all yourself?
I was like, let me start it up. And then like in the following December, I think, like almost a year later, I posted an episode every single day from December 1st to the 25th called like Evemas, like how people do Vlogmas. So I did that. And then I did that this past January too, because I was like, let me step it up a little bit.
Girl, guys, we caught up a little bit before we hit record on the podcast, and obviously we just recorded a podcast on yours. But you're finishing up your degree in marketing. You're gonna crush it in marketing. You're so creative with those names.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
So cool. So with over like 200 episodes under your belt, what have been some of the most rewarding episodes or like lessons that you learned from your podcasting journey so far?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was very hard to talk to myself and by myself. Like, I also had like 36 followers on Instagram when I started. So it was like, it's not like I had people asking me questions like, oh, talk about this. Like, no one cared about me. No one knew who I was. Like, it was like very tough for me to begin. And I started to just like reach out to like all these influencers. And this was like this was the first year of me having my podcast. I think I was 6 or 7 months in, and I maybe had like 5,000 or 6,000 listeners. And I reached out to my favorite YouTuber, Haley Sunny. I'm not sure if you guys know her, but she had like over 500,000 like followers on YouTube at this point, like over 300,000 on Instagram. And I was like, she is never going to answer me. But I was just reaching out to anyone at this point. And she ended up responding to me and was like, yeah, I would love to be on the show. And I think when I realized that it wasn't necessarily my numbers that made people want to come on, it was more so my content or like the way that I was portraying myself on social media or the way that I was reaching out to them. I feel like that stood out to me a lot because I was like, I'm this girl with 500,000 followers that I've been watching on YouTube for years wants to be on this 5,000 listener show. Like it was one of those moments where I was like, it's not always about the numbers, it's about the approach. And I feel like that was like a very outstanding episode for me because I'm on Zoom with the girl that I've been looking up to for like the past like 2-3 years.
Wait, I love that so much because I can totally resonate with that. Even like, years into the game, right? And I still had that thought process through my head when I started to launch the podcast of like, oh, this person's never going to be on it. How that's I like the actions that you just took to follow through on it. Like you believed in yourself, you believed in your podcast. Like that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, even to this day, like I reach out to people with like millions of followers and I'm like, the odds of them seeing this are so slim. But if they do, like that would be so cool to like just, there's nothing to lose. If you DM the most famous person in the world and they don't answer, you have not lost anything except maybe 4 seconds of your time. So it's like,
Amen.
Who cares?
Amen, girl. Yes. Go-getter right there. You are a straight go-getter. I love it. So your podcast focuses on self-love and self-growth. Why do you think these topics are so important, especially like the women listening to this right now are 45, 55, 65 years old. They've got these paradigms that they're going through and it's really hard to break paradigms to get results that they want, like fitness, nutrition, like everything along the fitness realm. Like, why do you think these topics are so important for women to dive into and to really learn about?
Yeah, self-love and self-growth, it doesn't stop at any age. It doesn't start at any age. It is something that you go through your whole life. Like, I always think of the fact that like my mom or my grandma, like they were just girls one day. And like, I always say like, when you just kind of like don't see, like I think of myself and I'm like, as a daughter, I expect my mom to have it all together. Like, oh, she's had it all together. And then I'm like, wait, this is her first time experiencing life too. Like when we travel to a new place, like that's her first time seeing this too. And it like kind of hits things that at the end of the day, everybody has an innocence to them. And I feel like when you focus more on that innocence, like when I have a bad day with myself and I'm like, I don't like the way I look today. I don't like the way my body looks in this outfit or the way my skin looks. Think of like inner me and I'm like that 5-year-old version of myself, or if you're older and you're like that 21-year-old version of myself, whatever it is, she still lives inside of me. And I think when you kind of view it in that way and you legit picture little you inside of you, like that is the same girl, it makes you want to speak kinder to yourself. And it's like, I kind of like view things like that in your face right now.
Girl, I love that so much. I just got full body chills. Like that's powerful.
That's how I view it because the things that I say or think to myself, or I used to be very insecure. So like when it comes to my self-love and self-growth journey, I used to be like, I'm not leaving my house because my skin looks bad. I'm not leaving my house because my body looks bad. And I was also in certain friendships and relationships that didn't make me feel good, where I felt self-conscious. I felt insecure. I didn't feel desired or wanted or, whatever it is. And that comes with being a woman in your 20s sometimes. And it took a lot of time and healing for me to step back and be like, wait, I offer all of this. I have all these amazing qualities, and it's not an easy place to get to. But when you get there and you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and you protect that younger version of yourself internally, it does not matter what other people say about you, think about you. Like, it does not affect you at all. And I think a big thing with self-love is other people's opinions. Like, that is why we get so down on ourselves.
Yeah, absolute opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth, is what I love to say. And whenever you're trying to do something better for yourself, or you're trying to get into a fitness program, or you're trying to eat better, you're trying to work out, you will always have the people that are around you that are still on that journey that you've been on that wasn't serving you. Sometimes you got to let go of the dead weight, and you got to just be like, okay, like I'm focusing on this for myself. And some people may fall out, and then you're going to accrue new friends and new people that are on the same goal or same mission that you're on, and surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, full body chills on that. Like I just said, like that's powerful stuff. And like I just caught up with you too before. You're so like, I appreciate that. Like you're so young to have that kind of thought process at that age. Like, girl, sky's the limit for you. Like that's
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Yeah, and I grew up in a very traditional household. Like I was telling you before, my parents are not from here. They're from Assyria. Like I grew up in a very like, this is how things are going to be. This is how, not with my parents directly, but like with the community that you're in, like, this is how you're supposed to dress. This is how you're supposed to act. This is the role you're supposed to play, all this stuff. And it's like, I grew up with people looking at the things that I was doing, the actions I was taking, the things that I was wearing. And it's like, I feel like society kind of moved with us a little bit in the sense of like, okay, we're not from the villages. Like this is something that we're going to grow with. And so I think growing up with eyes on you, or growing up with the reputation that you want to withhold, it can put a lot of pressure on you. But then, like I was saying before, like when you look back and you're like, I'm just a girl, like that is all that I am at the end of the day. Like my mother is just a girl. My grandma's just a girl. My sister, like we're all just human beings. And I think that I've used to always care what people thought about me because I wanted to withhold and portray a certain reputation. And then I'm like, you know what? Like if I want to live the traditional role of being a stay-at-home wife and a stay-at-home mom and all of that, but then I also want to be a businesswoman, like I can do both. Like I don't have to pick and choose which path to take. Like I can do whichever one I want. And I think when I just started to live life for myself, like I just started to grow more as a woman.
Wait, okay. Like this is, I resonate so hard with you on that. And I've actually never shared this on the podcast, but since you've grown up with like in a similar way that I almost walked into that tradition, right? That I share with you on your podcast. And the guy, like everyone listens knows that I was engaged, but I actually never have gone into like the family I was walking into was a Lebanese family, right? And that was the traditional way.
I knew you were going to say that the second, because I remember you said Arab. I was like,
yeah. Yes. That was like, and I like what I share on your podcast was like, I'm very like, I know me to how I was when I played sports. So basketball, field hockey, track, like very confident, very like, go getter, like sports were my purpose. And then losing myself in that relationship a little bit and taking a back seat and almost walking into the tradition of what that tradition brings. And like, don't get me wrong, I freaking love that tradition. That family unit is fire. The food is amazing, but it just didn't align with me and like what was expected of me if I was to walk into that, lifestyle. I too, like you, like I am very ambitious. I want to achieve things. I want to prove to myself that I can do these things. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that. So like, you just sharing that, like I had to just
it's so interesting because like I'm a go-getter, but I'm also like one day I'm not gonna want to do this forever. And like you said, like you were walking into that is not an easy thing. I've talked to guys that have been like, you are not allowed to work, and I've talked to guys that are like, do what you want, but know that you don't have to work. Like if you want to work, go ahead, but you don't have to. Because I go for like men that I'm from my community. So it's like, I know that like Arab Lebanese mindset that you were talking about. And it's one of those things where I feel like you don't have to pick and choose. Like I grew up being like, I'm going to be the breadwinner and I'm going to be this. And then as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know what? I'm good at home. I'm kind of good at home one day. I don't need to do this forever. And it's like, I like to do both. Like I like to have my goals and my thing for myself. I'm also 23 and single. So I'm like, if there's a time for me to chase my dreams, it's now. And it's like, if someone comes into the picture, great. Like I will devote my life to my husband and my kids when that is the time. But right now, that is not the time for that.
Totally hear you on that. Amen again, man. Amen and full body chill is just going to be my comments throughout this entire podcast. But I want to kind of circle back to what you had just mentioned with like the speaking of to the little girl. Like the little girl is inside of you, right? Like if you're, 16, there's a little girl inside of you. If you're 25, there's a little girl inside of you. If you're 45, there's still a little girl inside of you. The women that are 45 years old, specifically, right? Because that's what we're talking to, who we're talking to through this podcast, or even like 30s, on to some of them are even in like their 70s, but they carry that narrative along the way of certain things like, oh, my skin doesn't look good, or I have the menopause now. It's like this when women go through menopause and they're calling this stomach stuff menopause. It's like a flabby skin on their, or fat on their belly. And they're carrying these narratives all throughout. But what you said I love is that how would you be talking to the little self, like your little self around that? Like, would you be having those conversations and telling that little you that you have a menopause belly, that you're like, the paradigms need to shift in order, and the self-love and the self-growth that you're talking about needs to be more practiced upon.
Yeah. I feel like I remember the reason I like got into that mindset is because I was asked once, like, if you could travel back in time, like, where would you go and why? Or like, what would you do? And I was like, I would travel back to when my mom or like my parents were my age, and I would sit with them before they're married, before they had me, before I was even a thought. And I would sit and I'd be like, what are your goals in life? Like, do you guys want to get married? Like, what do you want to do with work? And like, see if they've accomplished the things that they want to accomplish. Because whether you don't have kids, you have a house, you're married, it's like, you are still your own person. And I think that a lot of the times we allow the things or the people in our life to become our identity. And it's like, it's okay to identify as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a sister, but you're still you. You're still that younger version of yourself that has grown up all those years. And that needs to be separated from everything else. Because if it's not, if you don't fulfill yourself individually, you're not going to be able to fulfill the role of a wife or a mother or a sister or girlfriend.
Yes, amen. It's like that saying when you put the you have to put the mask on, the air mask on an airplane, on you first before you put it on your kids or your husband or anything else around you. Yeah, you got to focus on you first.
And we're so focused on like the physical as women because, like, let's just be honest with society, like that's what matters to a lot of people. So it's like, but when you think of it yourself, you're like, I saw this, like, I think it's like a TikTok sound or something. It's like, I've never once thought about the girl I saw at the pool years ago who had extra belly fat. Like you can't think of a time where that happened. So it's like, why are you focusing on yourself? Do you think other people are thinking about that from you? It's like such irrelevant little things. And it's like, just focus on how you feel. Do you wake up with functioning legs and functioning arms? And do you have the capability to go to the gym? Like, you are blessed enough if you get to walk out of bed in the morning. So it's like, focus on that instead of like, what do I look like versus what do I feel like? Do I feel like it's such a blessing to just wake up and breathe? Like, it is literally the biggest blessing. I wake up every morning. I just like pray to God, like, thank you. Like, you're not done with my story yet. Like, that is the blessing in life.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that so much. So you're kind of sharing some practical tips here, right? Or strategies for someone who's just starting out on their journey or, continuing on their journey. Like you are waking up every day saying that. I love that. Thank you. My story still goes on. I still have to write my story. I love that. Can you share some practical tips that you've shared on your podcast, for strategies for women that maybe are just starting out on this like self-discovery, personal growth journey? Hey, just want to drop a huge appreciation to you guys listening to the show. It means a lot. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and there's so much more to come with it. If you are enjoying it, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that tons. And also, it would help this podcast reach others who need to hear these messages too. Thanks so much, guys. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah. So I'm very faithful. So prayer is like a huge thing for me, whether you pray, you meditate, you journal, just working out your mind. Like as much as it's great to work out the physical, you have to work out the mental and emotional. A big thing is who is around you, who is in your circle, because I feel like you have to be focusing on, I always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room, because you are not going to grow. You are not going to grow in a room where people are stagnant and just constant and not changing and not growing. You will think that what you're doing is enough, when in reality, you could be capable of so much more. Like if you put me in a room with millionaires, I'm going to be like, whoa, I have a lot of work to do. But if you put me in a room with people who don't get off the couch, it's going to be like, oh, I'm great. I'm doing great for myself. It's like, no, you need to put yourself in a different room. And I've had to cut people out of my life because they've made me feel like not worthy. Like, oh, this person doesn't want to be friends with me. This person, and that's just like kind of like a younger girl thing, I guess. Of like, oh, I'm not in their friend group, or like, but that thing carries with you. You always might feel unsupported or left out. So focus on who's around you. Are you around people that are supportive of the things that you do? Or when your success is talked about, are they the quiet ones? Like focus on who's quiet when you're being talked about in a positive way, and whose ears are out when you're being talked about in a negative way. Like I always think like that too. And I always say, like, if someone is cut out from your life and you don't know why, I always say, like, God hears conversations you didn't hear. So like, just trust that like that was meant to not be in your life. That wasn't going to help you grow. And then some like practices that I do. I love working out. I love going to the gym. I love going on walks. I love reading self-help books. That's like one of my biggest things right now, is just annotating self-help books, reading my Bible, and like really highlighting it. And spending a lot of time with my family. I think family is like so important to me. And just, I don't know, I feel like just learning about my culture, just learning about life in general. Like this is such like, you really only have one life. And it's like, I want to learn as much about my life and my family and my past as I can. I feel like it also just kind of like takes your mind into the world is so much bigger than these little things. Like the world is so much bigger than this pimple on my cheek. Like it's like, it just really changes your perspective. And I feel like don't put so much pressure on, I need to love myself. I need to love myself. If you do these practices and you just wake up every morning and you choose to love yourself that day, just that day, be like, okay, you know what? Tomorrow I'll hate myself. Today I'll love myself. And just keep doing that over and over again. And eventually you're going to see how much about you there is to love.
Wow. Okay, so there's like, I wrote down a couple of things. There's a lot. I want to unpack a couple of things there.
Let's unpack it, yeah.
But first, I love what you said, because you are like, there's that saying out there, you are the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So if you can look at like your core group of people, what are they like? Are they the couch potatoes? Are they ambitious and fun and getting after life and waking up every single day, blessed that they have this day, and then they're going to do something about that, you know, to serve a positive impact in the world. Love that. Or are they the other side of things? I love the comment that you said about God hears combos that you didn't hear. Wow, that's powerful. Something that I resonate the most that you said there that I want to touch on, and I have a couple other things I want to touch on, but you mentioned that you cut yourself away from people. So can you share a little bit? Because I know that there's women listening to this that they are surrounded by the people that are having 5 guys, and they're having, don't get me wrong, 5 guys every once in a while is great, but like, you know, they're eating the unhealthy, they're drinking a lot of alcohol, they're not really living the active, healthy lifestyle. And then there's the women that wants to get into being more healthy. They want to put their health first. And then like I too have a personal story where like when I started out my journey, I had the group of friends that were doing that, and I had to be a DD and had to kind of like separate myself from that. And then they started to fizzle out. And then I was on my own path to creating more friends that are in alignment with what I'm doing. How did you do that? Like a lot of people are probably struggling to have to do that themselves. So how did you do that? What are some tips
it's
there?
not easy. I grew up with some people, like I've had to cut off friendships that were like over 15 years long. And it's like, I think that a lot of the thing too is I was very big on like, I don't need to like text this person and be like, we're not friends anymore, bye. But like slowly distancing myself to a point where it's like, I'm going to slowly distance myself. And if God doesn't think this person's meant to be in my life, they will have them do the same. And now this person is cut off. And it's like, I'm never going to be someone that's going to be like, you can't call me if you need me. At the end of the day, anyone that I've had love for, I will always have that in my heart for them. But I think that at the end of the day, it's like, I've had friends in my life where they would talk down on me, or they would say things behind my back, or I would tell them something and they would share it with someone else. And if they were going out drinking and I was like, I don't really feel like drinking, they'd be like, you're so boring. Like, you're 21. Like, you should want to do these things. And I was like, and then I've had friends that are like, okay, cool. Like, still come out with us if you want, even if you don't want to drink. Like, we'll still have a good time. Like, it's all about people's like approach, I guess. And so being in your like young 20s when you're supposed to be enjoying things and you're not enjoying them because the people around you are, makes you think like, is something wrong with me? Like, why don't I want to do this? And I was in a relationship for like most of my, like going into my 20s. I'm not anymore, but it's like, you don't really even have the urge for it at that time. And so I was surrounded by people who were single and wanting to go out all the time. And I was like, why don't I want to do these things? Like, they're making me feel like I'm weird, or like there's something wrong. Like, why I can't, like, I wanted to live a quiet life. And now all of a sudden everyone wants to live a quiet life. But like at the time when I wanted to do it, like it was like weird and like not something to do. And I think that you don't necessarily, if you're nervous to do that, or you're like, how do I remove this person in my life without it being drama or like a situation? You don't have to text someone and be like, you're not good for me, bye. It's like, you can literally just not reach out to them. And I'm one of those people where if you treat me like a friend, I'll treat you like a friend. But the second you do something or you show me who you are, like I'll believe you the first time. Like if you make it known, like we're not friends, great. You will not get treated like a friend by me. Like I am not someone you're going to step over. And like, as much as I'm like girl powered, self-love, like I'm also Middle Eastern. Like it's like, you are not going to step over me. And like, I've let people do that.
That's
and it's
a form
like
of self-love right there though too. That's a form of
it
self-love.
really is, because people will take your kindness for weakness. Like, and I think kindness is your biggest strength. Like, I think being kind through those moments is so empowering, but it gets to a point where it's like, people are really going to take advantage of you, and they're going to see you as someone of like, oh, I could do whatever I want. She'll forgive me. I could say whatever. She won't really get bothered by it. And it internally will mess you up. Even if you don't act like it bothers you on the outside, if internally it's bothering you, you're just messing yourself up for someone else. So I think just like, distance yourself and detach. Don't ask this person to hang out. If you see them in a room, you could go say hi to them. You don't have to be like ignoring them across the room. Like, we're mature women. Like, we don't have to do that. Like I've been in situations with people recently where it's like, I think I'm friends with this person and then they do or say something and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not. And then I see them in a room and I'm like, hi, how are you? And I turn the other way. I don't have to sit there and fake a conversation with them. So just realize, like, if you're around people, I have friends that text me, like, congrats on this, on your podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, you saw that? Like, it's like, still shocks me to this day that people actually care and can be supportive. So I think just surround yourself and pay attention to who's focusing on your accomplishments, and don't be afraid. Like, this is your life. Why are you afraid to hurt someone else's feelings? Like, you're the main character in your own story. You get to choose who's around you. You get to choose who's in the chapter. Unlock those characters yourself. Like, you don't have to go by anyone else's rules.
Yeah, I love all that. To me, it's like, you got to be, I look to be respected, not liked. Like, I don't care if you like me or don't like me, but as long as you respect me, that's all that matters. And same to like those that I surround myself with as well. And then also energy. Like, it's like, if you are questioning how to get rid of people, or who is in your space that's not right for you, you can tell by just when you're around that person, what's their energy like towards you? Does it make your energy meter go down? Then you need to distance yourself, like you're saying, away from that individual. If that person is around you and in your space and is like questioning, like asking how you are as a human, and, celebrating your successes, like you're saying, surround yourself with more of like people like that. If they're like helping you, like making sure that you're getting in your workouts and like you're eating right, like that is a friend through and through. Yeah. But if they're like, why are you going to work out? Why are you eating like that? It's like, bro, come on, man. I want
energy. Yeah. Energy and intention. Like, there's intention behind what people say. Like, if someone's like, are you seeing someone? Oh, that's so exciting. Are you seeing someone? Oh, like, it's intention and energy behind and it's like, what information are they asking from you? Are they asking how you're doing or what you're doing? That's like a big thing I focused on. Like, after my breakup, there's people who are wondering how I'm doing, and there's people who's wondering what I'm doing so that they can talk about it. Like, pay attention to that and like pick up on it.
Damn.
Yeah. So especially from the traditional cultural thing I come from, it's like people talk and it's like I hear things and it's like I know to stay away.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you got so big with your podcast. What are some tips? Like if people want to get into the podcast space, like you, as I mentioned, like Spotify's top education charts, it's huge. So like, what are some tips if someone wants to start their own podcast or like dying to do it? How do they get there?
I know that this is like the most annoying answer, but it is the truth. It's be consistent. And I don't mean,
Wow, wait, there's a parallel there.
what?
Consistency. Consistent in your fitness routine. You're going to get the results. Consistent in eating right. You're going to get results. No way. Yep. So you're telling me consistent with doing podcasting.
Exactly. People, they think consistency means a week. They think consistency means a month. It's like, no, I mean, be consistent. Like at the end of the day, if you love doing something, and we talked about this on my show too, having a why, having a reason. Why do I want to start a podcast? Oh, like for me, let's say I was like, oh, because I want to make money. Money is an endless goal. That is an infinite goal. It's like, what do you want to do at the gym? I want to lose weight. Okay, you're going to lose 5 pounds. Then you're going to want to lose 10. Then you're going to lose, like, what is your actual reasoning? So when it came to my show, it wasn't, I didn't even know you could make money from a podcast when I first started. I think I was making I made $30 in 1 year. Like I did not know you could make money from it. Like I was also like a sophomore in college. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I was just uploading episodes. And my reason was I've always wanted to just help women with their self-love journeys, with their self-growth journeys, with their mindset, because I'm the oldest sister. I'm the first niece on both sides, first granddaughter on both sides. Like I didn't have that guidance. And it's like, when you grow up in a traditional household, like you don't have that those conversations with your mom when you're in high school of like, oh, I'm seeing this guy. It's like, no, you're not allowed to talk to a guy, and you have to be home by 9 p.m. So like, I didn't grow up with like having someone to go to for those things. And so I kind of wanted to play that role of a big sister of like, this is things girls need advice on. And like, I'm going to talk about it, whether it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about or like, obviously I have limits, but it's like, that was my reasoning. That was my why. It was like, I'm doing this because I want to help women with this, and it will help me too. And so that was my big reason. And that's how I stayed consistent, because I go through my DMs now and I'm seeing like lives that I'm changing or women's, days that I'm changing. And I'm like, this is why I do it. And it's like, when you see a DM like that, you don't want to miss an episode upload that week. You're like, I have to get this up because blah, blah wants me to talk about it. Like, it's just one of those things where consistency really is number one. And that's why I did this series called Evemas, where every day for the month of December, 2 years ago, I started it. I was uploading an episode every single day. And this was during final season. Like I was absolutely miserable, sleeping at like 4 or 5 a.m. Like it was rough, but it was so worth it, because that was like around the same time that I started trending. And I was like, wow, like this is insane that like, wait, the work I put in is actually doing something. And the beginning is the hardest part because you don't see any results in the beginning. So you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I working hard? Why am I posting and putting in all these hours if nothing comes from it? And then one day you have that moment. Like I remember the first time I saw that I was on the charts, I told my sister, I was like, I need to start taking this podcasting thing seriously. I've been doing it for like 6-7 months now. Like nothing's come from it. So I was like, let me book a photo shoot in the city to like actually create like cover art for myself. Maybe I was doing it for like a year at this point. And we're at the photo shoot. The photo shoot was me and my sister in a studio we rented in New York, literally just the two of us taking pictures on an iPhone. Like it was nothing serious. And as soon as we're done taking pictures and I like made this mark of like, I'm going to like actually do this now and like go all in, I like look at my phone and I see that I'm like trending #1 UK top education podcast. And I was like, what? I was like freaking out. And I was like, I can't believe the day that I decide I'm going all in. I've been putting in all this work. Like I needed to like pay off. It paid off. And I think when you see results, you get so motivated. So it's like, just be consistent and just know that if you're doing it right and you're doing it for the right reasons, you will see results at the end of it.
Amen. How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for 3 years.
3 years, you guys. 3 freaking years. And just like you said there, like you like money, like you can make money doing a podcast. Cool. But that's also like we kind of talked about this in your podcast. It's like, okay, cool. It's like a superficial goal, but like you got deeper with yourself and you had a why. And the why is also very parallel into the fitness space. It's like, well, why are you going after this new fitness program? Why do you want to start having a healthier look on food and having optimal health? Why? Right. And a lot of women's result or answers to that are, I just want to look better. I want to feel better, or I want to lose a couple pounds. And I'm like, cool. That's superficial. Let's go a little bit deeper. Yeah. Why do you want to do this?
An infinite goal that will never have an ending to it. And it's like,
Yes.
you don't need a destination all the time, but it's like you need to have like something deeper. And that was my deeper reason. It was like other girls, other women.
Yeah, positive impacting other women in this space, 100%, which you are totally doing. You guys have to go listen to her podcast. But I love the parallels that you just shared there because there's so many. It's like anything you do in life, the way you do one thing is how you do everything. I love that quote too as well. And if you're consistent, whatever you set your mind to, if you're consistent and follow through, even when, like how you said at the beginning, wasn't showing you results that you wanted, like you just kept going no matter what because you knew the payoff was going to be so rewarding, and it is, which is so freaking cool. So keep consistent, be consistent. So you talked a couple minutes ago, actually, you were deep into books and reading books and the Bible and things like that. So like, can you share a couple favorite self-development books that you have top of mind?
Yeah, we talked a little bit on my show about Atomic Habits. That is just, I can reread it 10 times and I'll learn something new each time. It's just one of those books where I like fully grasp it. I love The Mountain Is You, which is all about kind of like, yeah, yeah, Brianna West, her books, I'm going through like, I bought every single one of her books in my room. Like I am going through a period right now where like, I love it. Like I forgot the name of the other one. I have the essays one. The Pivot Year. The Pivot Year is really good. But it's just all about like turning self-sabotage into like mastering yourself. And I feel like I never saw myself as someone that self-sabotage. And then I read her thing and I'm like, oh my God, I do that. And I'm like, wow, I do self-sabotage. Like, I think a lot of the time when there's things in our life that are really good and we're not used to good, we're used to toxic relationships. We're used to people speaking to us in a toxic way. We're used to failing. When things start going right, we're like, oh, I need to ruin this before it ruins me. And we get into this like defensive mode of like, I can't let this good thing or this good person come into my life because they're going to ruin me eventually. And it's like, we miss out on so many good things. And that book really just taught me like, it's okay to like love and lose. It's okay to not get that job opportunity. Like things work out if you just like trust that they're meant to work out for you and you believe that you deserve it.
That's so good. I love that.
Yeah, those are like my top ones. And my Bible is just, I grew up very, very religious, very Christian Orthodox girl. And that just like, you know, through the years of like high school, I was like not very active in it. And then recently I started to like, just my faith saved me through everything. I dealt with like really bad anxiety and like just really bad depression, especially like after a breakup. Like it's like a really weird, you know, transition, obviously, you know, like it's like you date someone for so long and then like you're alone, and the depression and heartbreak is like something, unless someone has experienced it, they really don't know what it's like. And that like brought me so much closer to my faith because I was having such down moments where I was like, I'm never going to get out of this. And it's like, I couldn't, like, if I went to a bar or club, I had the worst anxiety. And it's like, I'd have to go to the bathroom and like do breathing exercises because I was at a bar, and it was like, I would just get so anxious, and it's like, I would hold my cross and like everything would be like okay for me. So it's like, once I kind of realized like the power my faith had for me, it like, it brought everything together. So that's like my biggest guidance in life.
Yeah, that's super powerful. You know, the world is so big, God is so big, universe is so big. It's like I firmly believe in a higher power, and that I firmly believe in that. I love that. And faith is so important. You have to have faith in yourself, but also that somebody is helping you, guiding you. Like even the story that you said, with the podcast and being consistent, there was one point where you mentioned that like you hit the charts, and that was like God showing you like, hey, this is your journey, this is your path that you're meant to be on, and I'm here proving it and showing it to you.
Yeah, he rewards cool. Those who deserve to be rewarded. Like I always say, like, and suddenly the dream started chasing her. That's like in my room, because it's like if you put in the work every single day, opportunities and dreams will start chasing you. Like God will reward you. I promise you. Just don't get, like, if you're listening to this, like I literally just want to like go over there and like through the headphones, like shake you and just be like, don't stop, like just keep going. I promise you it all works out in the end.
I love that. You can really feel your passion and your purpose through your words, Olivia. You really do want just to help as many women, like self-love, self-growth, know that it's all there for you. It's all possible. Is there anything that I'm missing that you want to share with the audience that we haven't touched on?
I know, like, a lot of the time when I speak, like, anyone who's like older than me is probably like, oh my God, shut up, you're so young, like, you don't, like, whatever. And I get it. Like, I get it. I don't have a mortgage, I don't have kids, I don't have a husband. Like, I understand that, like, everyone is in a different stage. Everyone has different opportunities. But at the end of the day, we all have today. Like, that's what I always say. Like, I've talked to older women and they're like, yeah, but you don't have kids. You don't have that. I'm like, but I have today. Like, I have my own things. You have your own things. Like, everyone has their own things going on in life. But one thing we have in common is that we both woke up this morning and we're both going to go to sleep tonight. And it's like, I feel like when it comes to saying, I can't do this, or I still get in that mindset where I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like, I can't, there's no way I can do that. Like, even at the gym, like, it's like, my friends are like, oh, squat this. I'm like, I can't. And then I'll do it. And they're like, and I'm like, okay, I know. Like, it's who says, like, if you say I can't do this, who is telling you that? You yourself? It's like, okay, great. You can control that. Someone from the outside is telling you can't. Great. You don't have to listen. Like, it's one of those things where it really is just having a powerful mindset. And that's not something that happens overnight. Like, it's something that you have to take time to heal that inner child or that inner, negative mindset that you have. You can wake up and you can choose to be happy. You can just wake up and choose to have a good day. Focus on one thing at a time. Like, don't think of what am I going to look like in a few weeks or in a few months if I follow this. No, focus on what you're going to feel like today and just do that every single day. And in a few months, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, whoa, like, I can't believe it. Because your mind, like, if you told me a year ago I'd be in the mindset I'm in now, I wouldn't believe you. Like, I was like, guys, like, I understand I'm young and this and that, but like, I was in a mindset of like, I was so happy. And then like everything got taken away from me. When it rains, it pours. It's like, it was like a breakup. Then it was a friendship breakup at the same time. Then it was like, oh, I found out I had to graduate school late. I didn't get a job offer. Like, it was like one thing after another. And I was like, how am I going to ever get out of this situation? Like, I will never get past this. And I was a 22-year-old saying that. And it's like, I'm looking back now and I'm like, dude, you're 22, like, relax. Like, whether you're 22 or you're 32 or you're 42, you still have like the rest of your life ahead of you, and your goals will change, your perception will change, your dreams will change. But it's like, as long as you just wake up and choose to make today a good day, that will follow through over time.
Facts. The narrative you say as soon as you wake up, it depicts the rest of the day. If you say, I can't in the morning, I can't get to the gym, or snoozing the alarm, fuck, I mean, you're just going to be can't for the rest of the day. If you wake up saying, let's go, I'm going to take on the day, it's a new day, I'm so thankful to be alive, let's make it happen, I get to work out instead of I have to work out, you're going to crush the day. Yeah.
Everything is mindset.
Yeah, 100%. But also too, what I love, like, cause I want to just nail this home, because people will, they do it for me. They're like, she's never been through menopause. I'm like, yeah, but I have the perspective, I have the understanding, I have the knowledge, of the education on that lifestyle and whatever. Your perspective, your experience is what matters the most, regardless of your age. So the fact that like the things you said in this conversation, people at 45, 55, 65 years old or older, or even whatever, any age bracket above you. So there's people don't have these conversations. The perspective that you share on this podcast, a lot of people don't develop until later in life. So I got like, it doesn't matter age. It's just the way you communicated it, you fully understand it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, the way you articulate it, if you can articulate it, if you understand it fully, that's all that matters. So yeah. So, okay. So as we wrap up the episode today, which thank you so much. It's been amazing having you share your insights on self-love, self-growth, and all of the things. Where can people find you?
You can find me. Everything is For You from Eve. Like, Eve is my middle name, so I just sounds cuter with everything. So I just do that. So Instagram, TikTok, podcast, everything is For You from Eve.
Amazing. Yeah. If you guys did enjoy the conversation as much as I did, man, I love that. It was such a good conversation. Your perspective is super dope for being 23 years old. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I used to like not tell any, like when I would join like business meetings, I would never say my age, because I'm like, they're not going to take me seriously. But it's like, it's not, like you said, it's not about age. It's about perspective. It's about experience. And it's just how you grew up. Like, I always say, like, I feel like I grew up 10 years older than I am, because I was like washing dishes and learning to cook when I was like 6. Like, it's just the way that you were raised too.
100%. 100%. Yeah, totally. So yeah, make sure you guys check out her podcast, For you from
Eve.
Eve.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister. Yeah. For you from Eve.
Yes.
Yeah.
For more amazing content like this and valuable content too as well. So, and always guys, don't forget to subscribe to the Macro Hour podcast, leave a review. If you like what you heard, your feedback means the absolute world to me. Until next time, you guys, remember, prioritize self-care, right? Embrace your journey of personal growth and keep spreading positivity wherever you go. Olivia, thanks for being on here today, girl. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out. Hey, guys, real quick. If you're interested in taking your body to the next level, lose body fat, build more muscle, feel more confident, do it alongside one of our 30+ professional coaches. Work one-on-one with her to eliminate all of the guesswork that you may have, and all you need to do is just do the work that she tells you to do to get to those goals of yours. Now, to learn more, click the link below this podcast and apply to our VIP program right now.